my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're tuning into your Feel Good Breakfast Show Expresso right here on SABC3. Thank you very much for joining us on your Tuesday. Now, the world is currently in Marvel frenzy, and it's safe to say because with the release of Black Panther earlier this year and also last weekend's release of possibly the most ambitious superhero film ever made, Avengers Infinity War. Now, also this past weekend, Cape Town hosted 2018 FanCon that brought international and local artists and also comic book enthusiasts together under one roof. A phenomenal event. But this morning, we're very lucky to have one of the stars of the show join us, Irish comic book writer and artist Declan Shalvey, who has illustrated for comics like Moon Knight, Deadpool, Venom, Batman, and also The Punisher. Declan, so good to have you, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
This is very interesting, and I'm so happy that we're able to get to sit down and just pick your brain a little bit. I mean, this must be a dream job, I think, for a lot of people who's into drawing and comic books. I mean, comic books, they've been around for so many years and a big part of people's lives. What does a day in the life of Declan look like?
It's not as glamorous as this, I'll tell you that much. It's just you get up in the morning and you read your script and you start working on your layouts. You pencil your page, you ink your page. It's pure fun, but it is long hours. It's freelance illustration at the end of the day, which is very work intensive. But if that's all I've ever wanted to do all my life, so it's hard to complain when you literally get to do your dream job. I wake up and I draw comics all day, and that's it. Sometimes you get a bit jaded because the grind can be very difficult. But at the end of the day, you have to step back and go, look, I can make a living doing this. This is crazy.
But I mean, with so many talented artists out there and all across the world, I mean, what does it take to be in the position, or to get to the position where you are today?
Just walk all over anybody who's in your way. I think that's very good.
Draw all over anyone.
Exactly. No, it's very competitive because everybody wants to do it.
Yeah.
But I started out going to conventions in the UK because there's not really much in Ireland, especially when I was growing up. I'm from like the County Clare, where it's just castles and cows and sheep. Yeah. Not exactly the hub of comics. But I went to conventions in the UK and then eventually America, and you kind of show your portfolio and you try and meet editors and meet other creators, and slowly you kind of build a network of people who you know, and once your work gets to a point, hopefully people will hire you. Yeah.
So is there any kind of formal training involved? Yes, you need to be talented as an artist as well, but going into a franchise like Marvel, one of the biggest franchises in the world when it comes to superheroes and films, and every second movie is almost a superhero film.
Yeah.
What type of training do you need to have under your belt?
Well, it's. I mean, I studied. Excuse me. I studied fine art in Ireland, but that doesn't really matter. It's because there's people who train themselves and there's people who go for training. It's completely subjective because it just depends on how good the work is. I know guys who had no training and are amazing artists because they're self-taught, who went on to become artists. I know plenty of people who were trained, and it took them a while. Like myself, it took me maybe another 4 years after I had a fine art degree before I was ready to draw comics. Every person is different. Depends where you're from. Depends what your inspirations are. What your talent, the levels of talent. It's really hard to kind of pin that down.
And I'm sure also you must develop such a good knowledge around the characters to properly illustrate them as well. Is that something that you need to focus on as well?
Not really, but if you really are a comics fan, then all this stuff is in your brain already, So like, there's lots of there's definitely. So I'm just finished drawing this Fantastic Four story, and I'm not the biggest Fantastic Four fan. But I do know a lot of the comics. There's stuff where I had to reference stuff that was drawn in the 80s. It was like 2 issues I had never. So I had to look up character costumes and stuff like that. So no matter how well versed you are, like I am a total nerd. it doesn't matter because there's pockets and pockets of more. The more niche you get, there's niche with a niche with a niche. So it's definitely, if you have a shorthand of like how comics are made and how they work. And where the characters come from, that definitely helps. But there's still stuff in the films, the Infinity Gauntlet, and I'm like, I think I know what that is, but it doesn't shouldn't really matter to enjoy it, but it definitely helps to make it.
Absolutely. Declan, thank you very much for joining us. We're not done yet. We're going to continue chatting with Declan in just a little while. Very, very interesting. What a career, my friend. What a career.
Cheers.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're tuned into your Feel Good Breakfast Show Expresso right here on SABC3. We are back with Declan Shalvey, a Marvel comic book artist, and he's just here. He was, of course, part of the FanCon 28 that took place here in Cape Town. Brilliant stuff, man. Thank you very much for joining us, Declan.
Oh, my pleasure.
We spoke about the fact that you have a dream job, a dream career. I think that a lot of people aspire to be as well. But let's quickly chat a bit about the superhero phenomenon. I mean, it's exploded over the past kind of 10 years with nearly every second Hollywood movie being made into a movie based on a comic book character or something like. What's your thoughts, I mean, in terms of the growth that you've seen?
I mean, I think it's amazing for, what certainly helps for me is as someone who draws material, you seem less sad. Because I drew Deadpool, and before the movie came out, I drew Venom.
Wow.
Now there's a movie coming out next year, so the stuff that I've worked on is now going to be... It's like when you're in a taxi cab and someone asks you what you do, I would say I draw comics, and nobody would know what that is. Now everybody knows. Everybody knows what Marvel is.
Yeah.
Like the characters I liked when I was a kid was like the X-Men. They were super cool.
Absolutely.
But everyone, like the Avengers, to me were lame. But now... The Avengers are the big, like Captain America, Iron Man. I couldn't care less when I was a kid, but now they're the biggest characters. It's really, really crazy. The brand recognition has changed.
It's incredible how it's absolutely exploded, and of course the brand new Marvel film as well with the Avengers. I mean,
There's a new one. Nah, just...
Come on, there's a new one. Yes, come on. We're all looking forward to that. But listen, I need to ask you this. Do you actually enjoy watching Marvel movies? I mean, how far removed is it for you in terms of an artist going from comic book and seeing the film adaptation as well? So,
I mean,
do you have a favorite? Do you favor
I do, yeah. Like Winter Soldier is my favorite, but I mean, it's because I really like... it's based on the storyline, the Winter Soldier storyline from the comics, which I love, but also it's just a really good film, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not some... Like, I'm a fanboy, but I'm not so much of a fanboy. I like something just because it's comics. If it's not... Like, I don't like all of the Marvel films, but there's a lot of them that I really, really do like. Yeah. It's hit and miss. They make so many, you know. Yeah. And it's fine if you don't like some because others are really, really good.
Yeah. But in your opinion, what would you prefer? Reading a comic based on, well, of course, your knowledge and drawing the characters and looking at the storylines, or seeing them come to life on film? Where does your kind of
which do I prefer?
Lie?
Well, I mean, comics is my first love, but also I would much prefer, like, there's some superhero films that are very, very bad, no matter how much they're based on the material. I would just prefer good films. Yeah. Period. Okay. And no matter what they aren't based on, you know.
So here's a question for you: if one of your comics could be turned into a Hollywood blockbuster, all right, which one would it be, and who would you like to play the hero roles?
The graphic novel series I illustrate with written by Warren Ellis called Injection has just been optioned for a TV show. Oh, fantastic. So I find myself having done research to work on characters that I draw. Now I would have based them on actors originally in my head and worked from there, and now I'm thinking, who would play them? And I have no idea.
Wow.
It's really weird. If you mentioned like another comic, maybe I could come up with something, but because I have come up with it, I'm absolutely clueless.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. It's really stupid. But I know there's a lot of talk of Moon Knight being made into something. I keep hearing internet rumors. That's the series. But Warren and I worked on that for Marvel Comics, and he's like this crazy. He's called the Batman of the Marvel Universe, but he's way more weird and crazy than that. But I keep hearing rumors of like shows or film but I mean, I've no say. You know,
exactly.
The best I can ask for is just like the cool thing is when you see Netflix shows and whenever say Daredevil or Jessica Jones, you'll see thanks to, and they'll list the creators that a lot of the work is based on, which is really cool. So, you know, part of me is just like,
just
for that,
crossing fingers like that. Well, we're holding thumbs for you. I just quickly need to ask your advice, inspiration for young artists out there who maybe wants to follow in your footsteps. We have some great artists, local comic artists here in South Africa as well. Kwesi Flyboy, he's one of the guys that's doing their thing. What would you say to inspire those youth?
Well, I would say follow your local guys. Like I was spending time with Jason Masters and Sean Isaacs here. Sean's works for Marvel, so we had a lot in common because his first Marvel gig was the same as my first Marvel gig. Wow. So that was really cool. But I would say get involved in your local community, because you don't just get work at Marvel like that. You need to build up and relationships and build your craft. Give yourself short projects that you can finish. A lot of new artists tend to try come up with the
Elaborate,
massive
yeah.
epics that you will never finish. So just keep it nice and short, and it helps you be more critical about your own work. But very much get involved, like meet local writers and local artists and colorists and letterers, and just work on your craft.
Awesome. Declan, thank you very much, my
thank you.
friend. Really appreciate
Cheers.
you
Thank you
coming
very
through,
much.
and have a safe trip home, my friend.
Oh, thanks very much.
That's a Declan Shalvey right here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.